Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for TWiT specials is provided by Cachefly at cachefly.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to our special presentation of Google I/O conference coverage. I'm Tom Merritt along with Jeff Jarvis from This Week in Google. Also, probably from lots of other stuff more famous than This Week in Google.
I've quit all my day jobs. I'm going to live only as the host of This Week in Google. I'm forgetting everything else. It is the fulfillment of my life and dream.
I'm glad to hear you say that. They are just starting right now, so we're going to be doing the instant analysis coverage. If you don't want to hear us talk, if you're watching this live, go to youtube.com/user/Google developers or just go to google.com/IO and you can hear it without us. I know some people are like, shut up, I want to hear it. Well, that's how you do it.
You're all very excited to be here. Welcome to Google I/O.
Seems like only a year ago we saw Vic Gundotra come out at Google I/O.
Our fourth year of this conference, and we thought we'd begin by just reminiscing for a few moments about how
we messed up TV last year.
Together. You go back to 2008. That was the first year we held Google I/O. Maybe some of you were there at our inaugural conference.
It was in June last year, because I was actually already at TWiT.
Our opening keynote focused on client connectivity and the cloud. Why, we recognized that this industry was going through dramatic
showing
change.
just how little has changed.
Mobile phones, smartphones, and faster web browsers were changing the face of clients, and that connectivity was about to explode, both in its availability as well as its bandwidth. And that would allow us to build cloud-based services that we could hardly have dreamed of a few years ago.
Client connectivity in the cloud. If you take cloud out of there, that graphic could have looked like it was from like 1975.
We rallied the industry with the Chrome team to move the web forward under the banner of HTML5. And today, modern browsers are better and faster because of the work of this group of people. So thank you. And then who could forget last year when we focused...
They're laughing because they're showing an Android cartoon eating an apple.
And they also be laughing because last year it didn't work out so well.
Making Android the global phenomenon that it has become. Of course, like Android, this conference too has gone truly global. We're very excited about the 5,000 plus people that are in this room. But this year, for the first time, we did something new. We created viewing parties. We allowed developers to set up their own viewing parties and stream this event live. And we had over 100.
So they've streamed it live before, but I guess this is an organized thing.
It's TED for nerds.
Yeah. Behind me at any moment, we should get a sampling of what's going on
Google
around
nerds
the world
particularly.
live right now. We have viewing parties in these 122 cities.
Are they going to show us, Jeff?
Including places like Cairo,
exactly. We're a party.
Over 1,000 people. It's 2 a.m. in the morning in Cairo.
Hey, it's lunchtime here, and I'm skipping it.
I'm having breakfast.
And so...
It's a pretty impressive looking little collection there. Seoul, Madrid, Amsterdam, Hyderabad.
Who are watching on YouTube, welcome to our conference. We're truly humbled by this worldwide enthusiasm. We do recognize that you are sharing with us your most precious resource, your time. And so we hope the next 2 days are incredibly valuable.
It is a little distracting to see the Life Fitness
a lot of fun for all of you.
Exercise machine behind him.
So let's get this show started. And to do that, I'd like to introduce Hugo Barra, Director of Android Product Management, to kick off the opening keynote. Hugo.
Vic has practiced his presentation skills. He's smooth.
All right, so with Android.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Android keynote at I/O 2011.
They fooled us.
Today, we have 3 things to talk to you about: momentum, mobile, and more. Let's start with momentum, and I'll ask you to follow me back in time for just 1 minute.
So we thought we were going to get Cloud and Chrome today, but
device?
we're getting Android.
Of course you do. Well, this is the T-Mobile G1, the very first phone was shipped over 2.5 years ago. And it holds a special place in our hearts. Back then, there were many skeptics. What did Google know? We had never been in the mobile space or the operating system business. Well, from those humble beginnings of one device and one carrier
ugly device.
in one country, how
But
much progress have we made? We have some exciting news to share with you today. So we made a quick video for you. Let's have a look.
Here we go. Well, this is really produced, isn't it? It's more and more produced every year. Got a dancing Android guy.
No, I kind of like the
Android guy. 20 million Android activations. Oh, he's climbing the activation chart.
What's this video called?
Well, that
That's
was
right.
more exciting than a pie chart.
We're incredibly thrilled to share with you today that we have
A new high
activated
bar in PowerPoint.
over 100 million Android devices worldwide. Thank you. And do you know what the most exciting thing about this stat is? It's the fact that we all did it together. 36 OEMs,
I didn't.
215 carriers,
Oh, take your credit.
and 450,000 Android developers all over the world. Thank you.
Sometimes I wish in these keynotes they would just
There
give
are
us the
now
numbers all
more
at
than
once
310
instead of doling
Android
them out.
devices in 112 countries. Talk about choice.
In
And
the news business, we call this
the
burying
best
the
way
lead.
to actually measure this momentum is velocity. At Google I/O on this stage last year, Vic shared with you that we were activating 100,000 Android devices every day. By August, that number had doubled to 200,000. Then 300,000 in December, and today we're activating over 400,000 Android devices every single day.
Now the thing is, for skeptics and journalists, this stuff doesn't work because you're seeing through the numbers. But if you're a receptive audience of developers, this
Now,
gets you
there's a reason why you're all
psyched.
here
This gets
today.
you all excited.
Right, and the moral is
Because
the same, which is
write
you should be
software,
developing for Android.
And most of you write Android apps. Well, thanks to your extremely hard work, I'm excited to announce today that we've exceeded the mark of 200,000 applications available in Android market.
That's a problem,
And-
I think, actually.
It's a little low,
Oh,
or it's too many.
Of course, what really matters
'Cause there's
is
no
that
curation.
the quality of these applications is phenomenal.
Ah.
CNN, Flickster, Fruit Ninja,
they're gonna answer you right
Tap
away.
Revenge, Major League Baseball, Gun Brothers, Pulse, and so many more. The world's most engaging, useful, and entertaining mobile applications are running on Android. And the most important thing for you, Android developer, is the tremendous growth in application downloads. Here's some data. It took the Android ecosystem almost 2 years to see the first billion application installs. It then took just 5 months to get to the second billion.
This is
Well,
typical,
today,
though. You're kind
we're
of
seeing 1
stating the
billion
obvious.
downloads in less than
Yeah.
60 days, and a total of over 4.5 billion application installs from Android market up until today.
In other words, the Android
4.5
market is
billion
successful. It's
application
not
installs.
ridiculously successful.
Android market
but
is
it's following the
stronger,
pattern, which is good.
faster
I mean, it's kind of
growth
stipulated, Your Honor.
than
Fine.
ever.
Yeah.
And that reminds me to pause and once again thank you, Android developer, for your amazing support and hard work over the last 2.5 years. You've been truly phenomenal, and the entire ecosystem is now being rewarded. So thank you, and thank you very much.
A couple of developers in our chat room are like, tell me how much I'm going to make.
Yeah.
How does this transfer to money?
So this wraps up the section about momentum of this keynote. And now there are two other parts, mobile and more.
Now, in mobile, are we
In
going to
mobile,
get
we're gonna cover
Google Music?
the Android platform, and talk about some of the
I don't know.
features on our roadmap. We're also going to show you 2 exciting new services that we're announcing today.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is
And then we'll talk about more and give
We
you a
expect.
preview of the future, where Android is headed as an open platform and an open ecosystem, going, let's say, well beyond the mobile phone. I'd like to welcome two people on stage.
Yep, there you
Anand
go.
Agarwala from the Android product team will drive our demos today. And to talk about Android platform, please welcome Mike Claren from the Android engineering team.
Okay, the three parts are momentum, mobile, and more.
Thank you,
Momentum
Hugo.
was the numbers. Mobile is going to be our big announcements. More is what, the catch-all because
Well,
they couldn't figure out
We've been busy.
how to
More is their
categorize.
Over
strategic
the last
promises.
2.5 years, the Android team has already shipped 8 releases of the Android platform. Today, I'm going to tell you
To
what's
everybody,
coming
you
next.
haven't.
Yeah, right.
First, we're announcing an upgrade to Honeycomb,
All right, here we
Android 3.1. We're rolling it out today, starting with Verizon Zoom 3G customers. Now, it's not been very long since we first launched Honeycomb, but we've managed to get a lot of nice user enhancements
Just
into the 3.1
Verizon Zoom.
upgrade. Let me show you a couple of them. First, people
What is
really
my
like the
Galaxy
new task
tab?
switcher we introduced in Honeycomb. You can see it here. We figured that if switching between a few tasks was good, then switching between more will be even better. So we made it so that you can scroll through
Question
to
is,
see
will they
all of your
open
most
this up
recent
now?
tasks.
Since they held back
Now,
the code
remember
on
that Android
3.0.
has
Right.
true multitasking. So some of these apps may really be running, and some may not. But the user doesn't need to care. This is possible
Except
only
this
on
user
Android,
does care.
because
That's what
we're
I like
using
about the
some
BlackBerry
unique technology
playbook.
that automatically shuts down and restores applications transparently. The system manages resources for you, so you'll never run out of memory, and you'll never be asked to quit in order to launch something else. Next, remember the improved widgets we introduced in Honeycomb? Let's look at the scrolling Gmail widget. That's pretty nice, but what if you get a lot of mail? Well, for that, we're taking widgets to the next level.
Okay. What level is that? You can expand widgets. You can resize widgets.
What do you do?
So as you can see, you can now stretch widgets horizontally or vertically. And if you're a developer and you've already created a scrolling widget for Honeycomb, you can upgrade it to be resizable with just a few lines of XML.
Google's getting good at the reality distortion field.
In
I gotta say.
3.1,
They
we
got
also put a
applause
lot
for
of
that.
effort into upgrading Android's USB support. Android devices can now act as USB hosts, which means you can now do things like
That's nifty.
Yeah.
So that means you can now do things like importing photos directly from your digital camera to your tablet. And because Android is now a USB host, the OS also supports a ridiculous number of USB input devices as well. Keyboards, mice, trackpads, joysticks, game controllers, and more.
That is nifty. That's a really that
That's a
deserves
big
some
one. That's a big advantage over the iPad.
So
Big
here you're
advantage.
about to see Anand play, or rather attempt to play, QWERTY using a game controller. Okay.
we think. Demo fails.
Okay, well, that was a brave attempt. There's a lot more in 3.1, but let me move on to some other platform news. It turns out that Android 3.1 is not just for tablets. It's also coming to Google TV this summer. This is great news for Google TV users.
Yes, it is.
That fix it.
That means apps on Google TV. That's huge.
It's great news for Google TV users, and it gets better. Google TV will also be getting the Android market. So all of you developers, will now be able to create apps for Google TV using exactly the same SDK that you're using for Honeycomb.
This might make me
well,
put the
the
Google
Consumers
TV
who
back in
already
my
have a
living
Google
room.
TV device
Yeah.
will automatically get the update over the air. And there are new Google TV products based on 3.1 coming from Sony, Vizio, Samsung, and Logitech. If you want to hear more about bringing your apps to Google TV, please check out the Google TV session tomorrow here at I/O. Okay, let's
so
look
they're
a
not
little
gonna-
farther down the road. I'm also happy to announce the next major Android release, Ice Cream Sandwich. And of course,
Told you, ice cream
to
sandwich
also debut
people.
the most important part of any release, the new logo.
He has pants on. Ice cream.
That's the part of the ice cream
Targeting a
sandwich
Q4
that you
launch
leave so
for
you
Ice
can
Cream
hold
Sandwich.
it. Does
And
look
in many
like
ways,
pants.
this will be our most ambitious release to date. Let me tell you about some of the themes behind this release. First, choice. If I had to pick one word to explain Android's phenomenal growth over the past year, that word would be choice. Consumers really like choices. And with Ice Cream Sandwich, we're going to make them really, really happy. Here's just a small sample
This
of
is
the
the
range
opposite of
devices
Apple's strategy.
powered by Android.
How so?
So we have phones in every
Apple
size and
says
shape,
we determine
phones with keyboards
what
that
is
slide,
appropriate
phones with keyboards
for the
that flip,
quality of the
phones with
experience.
built-in game controllers,
Microsoft and
tablets in
now
every
Android
size
say
from
we give
7
you
inches
choice.
to 10 inches, even tablets that transform into laptops. And who knows what else is coming. But in the end, we know that high-quality apps are the lifeblood of Android. So our top priority for Ice Cream Sandwich will be to give app developers the tools they need to deliver great experiences on all of these devices. We want one OS that runs everywhere. Let me tell you how we're going to make that happen. To start, we're taking all of the good stuff that we added to Honeycomb for tablets, and we'll make it available everywhere, on phones, on tablets.
So the reunification.
This includes the new holographic UI, the new launcher, the new multitasking UI,
Honeycomb
richer
was just a
widgets,
little detour.
advanced applications, everything. Next, we're investing heavily in the application framework. We want to insulate developers from the differences between all of those devices as much as possible.
Yeah, got to fight that
So we're
fragmentation.
adding new APIs to the framework to help scale your UI across all these different form factors. And we're adding intelligence to components like the action bar. They'll be able to reconfigure themselves to optimize for the available space. We're also putting a lot of energy into our development tools. Be sure to check out the Android Tools Talk tomorrow at 3 for some exciting developments there. And last, but certainly not least, it will all be open source.
Okay. Isn't it always supposed to be?
But that was the problem with Honeycomb. They didn't open it up.
Yeah.
Now, Ice Cream Sandwich
supposed
is
to be
not
open
just
to
about
eventually,
breadth.
But
It's
it,
about
it, was
depth,
never, it wasn't
too.
ready for prime time, so
On
now
Android,
they've
we're always looking to bring the
up for their
latest
sin.
technology to mobile devices. And we've got some really cutting-edge stuff in the works. Anand is going to help me demo some of the latest developments from Google's technology extraction team based in Roswell, New Mexico.
That's
Basically,
where they extract
this
the alien technology, of
can
course.
look at the input from the camera and figure out where your head is and even where you're looking. It runs on the GPU, and so it can do all that insanely fast. It can process 500 frames a second. So let's have some fun with that. First, watch what happens as Anand moves his head from side to side. Because the software knows where he's looking, it can update the 3D scene in real time to match his perspective.
That's nifty. That is really cool. There's a lot you can do with that.
So tie that to Connect,
Yeah.
right? So you start to see a new user interface happening.
Okay.
Totally.
How about this?
Blink and you
we
get
can
channel
not only
4.
detect where Anand's head is, but we also know where his eyes, nose, and mouth are. Now, Anand is a handsome guy, but there's always room for a little improvement. So let's fix him up. Okay, that's not really a good look. Maybe something in the nose area. Okay, that's pretty unfortunate. Maybe eyes a little smaller? Wow, okay.
This is silly.
I think the lesson here is not to attempt to improve on nature.
But it is pretty
let's move
cool
on to
that it
something
really
more
cracks
practical.
you.
Yeah.
We call it virtual camera operator.
This is facial recognition, man.
Let's say Anand and Hugo are together on a video chat. The software can actually figure out by itself who is speaking, and it will automatically focus on the right person. Let's give that a try.
Bye-bye, Cisco. You kill Flip, this is what happens to you.
So you can see here as I start talking, it zooms in smoothly to my face.
And then when I start talking, after a few seconds, the camera realizes that I'm here, and it's going to zoom in on my face automatically.
And then when I start talking again, it zooms smoothly back to me for a smooth, fluid back and forth transition.
We could use that. No more switching.
Yeah. That's pretty
Ever
amazing.
be smiling
And note
broadly
that this is
right
not
now.
just for fun. All of this and more will be available as developer APIs in Ice Cream Sandwich, so all of you can create great new experiences. Okay, that's just a quick peek at what's coming in 2011 for the Android platform. We're really excited about moving Android forward, and we can't wait to see what all of you will build with it. Thanks very much. Hugo, back to you.
All right, so cool stuff
you,
coming
Mike.
in Ice Cream Sandwich, for
Thank you.
sure.
That was great. So we had a little bit of fun with Anand. We showed you a new dessert.
Tell them what you told
and we
them.
talked about the importance of one Android OS.
This feels like the
everywhere.
movie preview
We're
thing.
now going to shift topics and talk about media.
Music.
Today we're announcing a couple of new services that we think you'll really enjoy. And to talk about the first one, here's Chris Yerga from the Android Cloud Services team.
Here we go, I think.
Oh, boy.
Thank you, Hugo. Today, users can go to Android Market to get applications as well as books. We added the Books tab to Android Market back in February of this year. And the way it works with books is that when you purchase a book on Android Market, whether it's from the Android Market website or from your Android device,
I'm not sure that many
book
people
is instantly
buy those
available
books.
to read across all your devices.
I like that
Now,
about
we're able
Google
to do
Books.
this because your book purchase is tied to your Google account, not to any specific device.
I use Google Books for public
I'm
domain
happy
stuff,
to announce
free stuff.
that we are bringing the same experience to Android Market for movies as well.
There you go. Oh, movie rentals.
Starting today, users can rent movies from Android Market and instantly stream them via the cloud to their computers or to their Android devices.
I can't get
We have a
Netflix on my
selection
Galaxy
of
tab. This could
thousands
be
of
big.
titles available to rent, competitively priced, starting at $1.99. It's a very seamless experience, and I'd like to walk
This
you
goes
through it
along
right
with the
now.
YouTube rental deal, I'm guessing.
We're going to start off on Android Market on the web. So here you see the Android Market website, and you'll notice that the homepage of Android Market now shows featured content from applications, books, and movies. If we click into the movies section, we'll be taken to the movies homepage on Android Market. And the movies homepage shows featured content, new releases,
did they
there's
get
categories
deals
to
with
browse,
Google?
and of course search. And here at the top left, we have a section of top rentals that shows the most popular rentals. So why don't we pick one of those?
King's Speech. These are all the titles
King's
that were
Speech,
announced with YouTube
choice,
yesterday.
Something highbrow for this time of day. And the rental process is very easy. Simple click
Prices
on the
look
rent
normal.
button,
$3.99
confirmation
for King's
dialog
Speech seems
to
about
complete
right.
your rental. Now, the way this works is that movies on Android Market have a 30-day rental period during which you can begin watching your movie. And then once you've started watching, you have 24 hours.
I hate
to
that.
complete
I do
viewing of
too.
your
I just
movie.
hate it. There's no
Now,
reason for
I
it.
could view the movie right here on the Android Market website.
I don't mind the 30
streamed
days.
from
It's the
cloud,
24 hours to
but
complete.
Yeah,
the movies
exactly.
look terrific on the tablet. So I'd like to switch over to the Zoom right now.
That's why Netflix
And
has
on
the huge
Zoom
advantage.
tablet, we have
Right.
a new movies application. And so you see it there on the homepage when we tap on the videos app.
Well,
we're
if
gonna
movie
go
studios
in
want
here,
to
and you'll
disadvantage
notice
Netflix,
that
they can probably
the movie
advantage
that I
Google.
just rented from the web is now showing up here in Android and the movies application, ready to stream in high definition to my tablet from the cloud. Now,
Even though you only have 2 hours to
I
watch.
can't
24
always
hours.
stream videos live from the cloud. The cloud feature is terrific, but if I'm on an airplane and I don't have data connectivity, I still want to be able to watch the movie I rented. We enable you to do this with a feature we call pinning. So we're going to go in here and select
So it's
a
gonna cache
couple
it?
of these movies and pin them to the device. Now, what pinning means is that these movies will then be automatically in the background downloaded to the device so that when I do get on the airplane, I'll have my movie available and ready. But while
That's a
those
good
are
feature.
downloading, why don't we back out and show what playback looks like on the tablet.
You're watching Google I.O. coverage with Tom Merritt and Jeff Jarvis on TWiT, brought to you by Slingbox.
And so,
Turn your iPad into a
playback
television
is
with the new
terrific.
iPad app
This
from
is,
Slingbox.
you know, a
Check it out at
high-tech experience.
slingbox.com.
You can play and pause, jump around to more interesting bits of the movie. And all of these movies are available to play both here on your tablet as well as on the website. But we don't want phones to be left out of the mix either. So we're going to show you phones in a second as well. But before we do, I want to show you that in addition to playing back movies, we can also rent the movies directly here from the tablet. So the shop link at the top takes you directly to Android Market. Android Market, you will notice, has a new Movies tab, very similar to the Apps and Books tabs with featured content, bestsellers, category browsing, etc. Why don't we go ahead and look at something from the featured carousel and pick something to rent. And the rental experience on the tablet is very similar to the one that you saw on the web. A quick tap on the rent button, confirmation dialog, and then once the rental is complete, you'll be able to watch your movie here on the tablet or on the web or on the phone. And so now I would like to switch over to the phone.
Movies are
Let me show
already
you
up
the new
on the
movies
market.
application there.
So if you go to the marketplace right now, you can start renting.
Yep.
And so the movies application on the phone will show the exact same movies that we've just rented, both from the web
Can you pin
and
to the
tablet,
phone?
ready once again to stream live from the cloud to my device. So that is movies on Android Market. We've made it really easy for you to rent anywhere and watch anywhere. We have a selection of thousands of movies available. And so I'd like to invite everyone to go to market.android.com and try out our new movies rental experience. The tablet application that we showed you is rolling out as part of our Honeycomb 3.1 update that Mike mentioned earlier. That is going out to Verizon Zoom 3G users starting today. And the movies application on the phone is going to be available to Android 2.2 devices and up starting in a couple weeks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris.
No music.
Chris,
It's kind of
just
annoying
showed
that
you
3.1's
how
only
seamless it
going
is
to
rent a
Verizon
movie
Zoom
and then
customers.
play it on the web,
Yep.
on your phone, or on your tablet seamlessly. We want to make it just as easy for you to enjoy the content that you already own from any device seamlessly. We just talked about movies. What's the other type of content that
There
we
we
all
go.
really enjoy? Of course, you know the answer.
Games.
To talk to us about a new service from Google, here's Paul Joyce.
Massages.
Porn!
Thank you,
Apple
Hugo.
won't give us porn.
Today we're introducing Music Beta by Google.
And that site has been up all morning. Some folks tipped us off to it, music.google.com.
When you add your music to the new service, you can listen on the web or any compatible device. No wires, no painful syncing. Your music collection is stored in the cloud, so you can stop worrying about where your songs are and start enjoying your music.
Thank you, Amazon, for paving the way for us to do this without making deals with the industry.
Perhaps you heard a rumor or two. So let me show you how it works. This is Music Manager, a program for Windows and Mac, which helps you add your songs to the new music service. You can select specific folders, but if you pick your iTunes or Windows Media Player library, all of your playlists, play counts, and ratings are added along with your songs. So let's jump to the browser. In a second, you'll see the album view of my music library, but I can browse by songs, artists, and genres. Music on the web is a full-featured music manager with everything you'd expect: search, info editing, ratings, and play counts. Let's go to the home view. It displays recently played and recently added music.
So I need to download
go
a
into the
program
album
to do
detail
this,
view.
huh?
Yeah.
Love that transition. Just double-click on a song, and it plays right away.
I'd rather see this as a HTML5.
All of my existing playlists
App
are
or
there on
site.
the left, and I can quickly create new ones. Select a couple songs, drag them over, and name the playlist. When I create the I.O. Jams playlist, it's available right away on all my devices: my tablet, my phone, or any other computer. But to make creating playlists even easier, we have a new feature. We can build a playlist automatically for you based on any song you like. We call this Instant Mix. Let's say I'm in the mood for some Earth, Wind, and Fire. Notice the search suggestions that appear right away as you
Is
type.
that not a good one for you?
Select a song, and Instant Mix selects 25 tracks from your library that go great together. To do this, we look at artist similarity.
Cue the Pandora
like
killer
some other
tweets.
smart playlist creation tools. Our model literally listens to your music. With machine learning, we find similar tracks based on how they sound to build a truly ingenious mix.
Eden points out HTML5 wouldn't allow background syncing, which is an advantage to a program. It's a good point.
So that's Music Beta on the web. Let's shift over to my mobile devices. So here's the latest version of Android Music. Here's the latest version of the Android Music app running on my tablet. This is the same UI we shipped with the first Honeycomb release, and it looks really sharp. This is the 3D carousel, and we can switch over to the artist wall to highlight a few other effects. It's so cool when he does that. And of course, it'll show all my local music.
You have to be invited
There's
into this
one
beta.
very awesome difference.
Is that
This
because
app
they're
connects to
afraid of the
music
industry?
service to access all of my music in the cloud. And that means I'll never have to use a cable to add music again. So let's switch over to the playlist view. Here are all my playlists, including, there they are, the I.O. Jams
Hipster,
playlist
please.
and the Instant Mix we just created on the web. No wires, no painful syncing. It's all just available instantly.
Oh, I wanted to see Canadian Road Trip.
Let's switch over to the album view. Having all of my music available to me, wherever, whenever, is extremely powerful. But for times when I don't have a data connection on my tablet or phone, we wanted to create an easy way to enjoy your music offline too. And we
I
came
can
up
do
with
that
two
with my
things.
mail.
First, we cache music I've recently played. So without doing anything, I have access to a selection of songs when I'm offline.
Okay, like that.
And second, I can select albums, playlists, and artists using the same Make Available Offline feature that Chris showed you for movies. So let's switch over to the phone. The phone has the same capabilities we just demonstrated. Cloud music access, offline caching. There's the 3D UI, because it's exactly the same application download. But when it's running on Furry or Gingerbread instead of Honeycomb, the UI is optimized for the smaller screen. For example, in portrait mode, navigation is more list-driven, and you can swipe to change views.
Nothing about a store yet.
Like on the web and tablet, I can create and edit playlists or make an instant mix.
Right.
And become instantly available everywhere. The best part? If I get a brand new phone, all I have to do is sign in. My music is right there, right away.
So this is very similar to Amazon Cloud.
Yeah, it's a subscription service.
Didn't we play Shining Star last year?
Amazon has the advantage of a store, at
I guess
least
that's
so far.
my reminder to talk about availability. So we're really excited about this service. It's launching in beta today, and we're going to roll it out in stages, initially by invitation only to US users. You can add up to 20,000 songs to your library. And at least while it's in beta, the service is free.
Okay. So it's not by gigabyte,
So
it's
all
by
of you attending
song.
Google I.O. who are based in the United States will get an invitation.
That's it. Suck up to the developers.
Yeah, well, that's good.
We thought you'd like that part. You'll receive an email today with instructions to get started. If you're on the webcast, we invite you to visit music.google.com to learn more details and request your invitation. Finally, we're releasing the updated music app on Android Market today. Any Android 2.2 or higher device, download the new app, and it'll work with music stored in your phone even while you're waiting for an invitation. So thank you. Back to you, Hugo.
I'm dense. Where do you get the music from?
It's your
Thank you,
music.
Paul.
You buy it wherever you want.
Thank you. That was awesome.
iTunes, Amazon, doesn't matter. It's
That's
just a
our
music
Google
management.
3.1, ice cream sandwich,
No store.
movie rentals, and movies. How do you guys think we're doing so far?
That's how they get
The
around
kind of innovation
dealing with the record
we saw
industry.
here today has been the driving force behind Android's success.
They should have
But of
shown
course,
importing
that
from
innovation only
Apple.
matters if it can actually reach consumers. So today, we're announcing a founding team of industry leaders, including many partners from the Open Handset Alliance, that Google is going to work with on this. Together, we'll create new guidelines for how quickly devices will get updated after new Android platform releases.
At last.
And, thank you. And for how long they'll continue to get updated after that.
We'll see if
The
that has any
founding
practical
partners
effect,
are-
but that's a very good move.
Yes.
Verizon, HTC, Samsung, Sprint, Sony Ericsson, LG, T-Mobile, Vodafone, Motorola, and AT&T.
All the major U.S. carriers.
And we're welcoming others to join us, of course. To start, we're jointly announcing today that new devices from these partners will receive the latest Android platform updates for 18 months after their first launch, if the hardware allows. And that's just the beginning. Stay tuned in for more on this soon.
But if the hardware won't allow it, argument is already
really
used.
Great news for users. It's excellent for developers, and it's really great for the entire industry. So let's
You're stuck with a 2-year contract, but you get software for 18
now
months.
To the
Not
section
right.
about more.
Good point.
Today, we'd like to unveil some of the Android team's vision for the future of computing and applications. Think of it as the beginning of the next wave of Android. As an open platform, Android was always meant to go well beyond the mobile phone. And today, we wanted to give you a little taste of that. We want to enable developers to do a lot more with Android, to write apps for new classes of hardware, and why not, even create their own hardware. And we want to do that in a way that takes the concept of openness to a new level. I'd like you to meet Matt Hershenson and Joe Britt from the Android hardware engineering team. They've been working on a few exciting, really cool projects that they want to talk to you about. So Matt's going to get started, and Joe will come after.
I'm going to get on the treadmill.
Really hammering this openness, because they've been taking a lot of criticism
Thanks,
for it.
Hugo. As you heard earlier, there are over 300 Android devices in the market. We know hardware developers would love to have a way to build accessories that can work with any device from any manufacturer. Until now, that's been hard, but that's about to change. Today, we're announcing Android Open Accessory. We're adding platform support for hardware accessories and a new API to talk to them. Using these, you can build a wide range of accessories, and they'll work with any Android device going forward. Let me show you a demo. Everyone uses their phone for music at the gym. But what if your Android device could integrate more fully with your workout? This is an exercise bike made with Life Fitness, and it's compatible with Android Open Accessory. Anand's going to get ready for a workout on it. First, put on his headband. Now, most importantly, he's got his Android phone. Now he's going to dress for his workout.
Breakaway pants, always a pleaser.
People go crazy for his legs. All right, now watch what happens when he plugs the phone into the bike. It recognizes the accessory, and it shows an application that knows how to talk to it. If the phone didn't already have a compatible app, the bike would just send the user to the app in Android Market to
Why
download.
can't printers operate that way?
This is really
seriously.
cool. If a user buys an accessory that needs an app, when they connect the phone to the accessory, it just takes them where they need to go to get that app.
Has to do with ink
Okay,
cartridges,
so
I'm sure.
Anand's now going to launch Cardio Quest. And then the exercise bike actually recognizes that it's been connected to the Android phone. He's going to select an easy workout. And then the API is actually going to have the bike control the game that he's going to play. Now see, as he pedals faster, he moves the Android guy up.
Now this is
Pedals
something other
slower,
phones,
he
including
moves
the
Android
iPhone,
guy
already have.
down.
Ah.
Go off faster. Oh, whoa, 1 calorie, 1 calorie. You do that 1,000 more times, and you can have one of those ice cream sandwiches at the after party. Yeah, see? Yeah, how do you think he got those legs? So you can check out the exercise bike and actually play the game later on in the interactive zone. Today we're making the Android Open Accessory API available for Honeycomb and Gingerbread.
Not sure that was the best
It supports
example.
USB now, and Bluetooth support will come in the future.
Because this is a big
So
deal.
It's not
Open
just about software.
accessory
It's
development.
about hardware too. And we want to provide a complete solution. So today we're releasing the hardware and software for an Android Open Accessory reference design. We're calling it the ADK for Android Accessory Development Kit. Here it is. The ADK is based on Arduino and a USB host.
Nice.
Everyone
We all
loves
get one?
Arduino. It also incorporates circuitry from a USB host from circuits at home. And I think by the applause, people already know, Arduino is an open platform with tons of third-party and hardware and software add-ons that developers can use to develop Android accessories.
Again, the
So
opposite
ADK
direction of
isn't the
Apple.
only way. Microchip and RT Corporation are each launching their own open accessory-compatible development boards today. Let's take a look at one of these ADK boards in action. So here we have a Labyrinth game, and we've added 2 off-the-shelf servo motors to it, and those are hooked up to this ADK board. The ADK board then is communicating to the tablet.
ADK, I'm assuming
Tablet's running a
Arduino
simple
development
app which
kit.
sends the accelerometer data over USB to the ADK, which is then controlling the tilt of the Labyrinth to match the tablet.
I feel like
All
I'm
I
back
need
at
to
a
do is
computer
hit that,
fair in
like,
San
tilt it to
Francisco
get
in
the
'82.
Yeah,
I like
roll out,
it.
okay? So the object of the game is to tilt the platform to make the ball follow the line,
So
go
there,
all the way to the end without falling into any of the
on the
holes.
audio version, if you're listening to this,
You
there's
got
one of
to
those
3, a little better
Labyrinth
than the
games
calorie
hooked up to the
count,
tablet, and it's
but it's
actually
clear you need
tilting
practice
in real time based on how the tablet is tilted.
So we thought
Just to
this
show the
little Labyrinth game was cool, was
capability.
cute, like the legs. But we wanted something a little bigger to match the success of Android. We
Drive
couldn't
your
even
car
fit
with
it
it
on
next.
the stage, but we
Oh,
have
the
a
A
video.
is accessory development.
Let's
Okay,
roll the
okay,
video.
ADK.
Android's been a huge success, and we think the ADK
Same
and
shirt?
Android Open Accessories will be too. This Labyrinth was inspired by that. It weighs about 5,000 pounds and is powered by a pair of 200-volt, 50-amp motors. It's all controlled by the Android tablet hooked up through an ADK, much like the one on stage.
Gina Trapani is already salivating to get her
If you wanna
paws
learn
on
more
that
about
Arduino-based
Android Open
ADK.
Accessories and the ADK, and learn how to get started working on your own accessories, please visit the session this afternoon at 1:15 or visit accessories.android.com.
It's a good recruiting video, too. You want to work at a place where they
So-
can make a huge three-dimensional labyrinth like that.
Now you know what that giant covered object
As a stockholder,
in the
I'm not
glass
sure what's
fence
gonna
area by the escalator is. That's the Super Labyrinth. The demo will be available for you to play with. It's a ton of fun after the keynote and for the next 2 days. Definitely check it out. I predict there will be a big line. With the ADK, we're welcoming hardware developers into the Android community and giving them a path to building great
Time for the Android
accessories
refrigerator.
quickly and easily. One important note.
From LG.
This program is completely open. There are no NDAs. There are no fees. There's no approval process to build a
that's
hardware
big.
accessory or to write the
Oh,
software
the
that goes
Android
with it.
vibrator.
So get started. Thank you.
That's actually more open than Android itself.
Step number 1 is go to the interactive zone where you'll see a bunch of open accessory powered accessories from our partners. And there's some great stuff there, so please check it out. Now, Joe Britt is here, I believe, to talk to you about an even larger type of accessory. Joe.
Thank you, Hugo. That's
Here comes
right.
your fridge.
So we want to go one step further and really broaden the concept of what exactly is an Android accessory. We'd like to think of your entire home as an accessory.
Yeah, there we go.
Or better yet, as a network of accessories. And think of Android as the operating system for your home.
Android-powered
We call
hair.
this vision Android at Home.
Be nice.
At the center of the Android at Home architecture is your Android device. We're extending the Android OS to include new services that allow Android apps to discover, connect, and communicate with appliances and devices in the home. We call this the Android at Home framework. For appliances that cannot connect to Wi-Fi, we've designed an open wireless protocol that allows Android devices to talk to them. This new protocol enables very low-cost connectivity with anything that's electrical in your home, such as lights, alarm clocks, thermostats, dishwashers, etc.
Now I feel like I'm at a 2000
We want to think
CES
of every
Microsoft keynote.
appliance in your home as a potential I/O device for Android apps. So let's take a look at a couple of demos of this stuff. So let's bring the stage lights down just a little. And now, Anand, would you like to show the audience the trick you just learned?
Yes, I would. Vroom. Vroom.
Okay. Anand is taking a little theatrical license. What we just demonstrated was a very simple Hello World type app on his tablet. that displays a series of digital light switches. Using the Android at Home framework, this tablet can talk wirelessly to these 2 floor lamps so Anand can turn them on and off. The other 2 switches are linked to these 2 super bright audience lights on the left and right, and Anand can also control them wirelessly. Okay, now that you know how to control the lights, you can let your imagination as a developer completely take over. Imagine the new ways you'll be able to deliver notifications. You could build an alarm clock app that slowly ramps up the lights in the room and starts playing your favorite music through the stereo as the alarm time approaches. Or imagine how your applications could tie into Calendar to automatically control home devices.
Bear in the chat room points out, there goes the whole custom high-end remote market.
This functionality could make gameplay more immersive.
Yep.
Imagine using the Android at Home framework to control an irrigation system and enable a real-world Farmville app. If you don't win the game, then your garden dies.
This
right?
has been done before. People are right, but remember, this is open, connected to the Android ecosystem,
Connected in turn to the network of the world,
and free for people to develop on that open hardware platform.
So
that they
while
just made.
Apple is only making specific a few devices, now Android's on anything.
Controlling these lights. Okay, you get the idea with that. So to bring this vision to reality, we're partnering with several industry players. One I'd really like to mention is Lighting Science, one of the world's leading LED lighting technology manufacturers. They'll start selling the first LED light bulbs and switches for the Android at Home environment by the end of this year.
So they have the
of their Android at Home compatible
connection
bulbs
built in, I'm
being
guessing,
used
right?
here in these on-stage lamps. We also have a number of Android at Home enabled devices available for you to play with in the interactive zone. So please stop by and check them out. All right, I'm going to walk over to the other side of the stage. The next thing I'd like to show you is a totally new kind of Android device. It's an Android at Home hub. It's both a standalone music beta endpoint and a bridge to the Android at Home network. We call it Project Tungsten. Let's take a look at a couple of actual
Is this a
devices.
Sonos competitor?
These are our reference designs.
More than that, will control your
What we have here
lawnmower.
are 2 Tungsten devices. A Tungsten device runs the Android OS and the Android at Home software framework. It's always powered on and always connected to the cloud. It has audio out, and these examples can connect to either speakers or my home stereo system. So let's bring the stage lights down again, just so I can show you something else cool. If you hadn't noticed, they have these crazy lights on them. And look at the shape of this thing. I know that Mike Claron earlier mentioned our Roswell extraction team. Well, I mean, how could this be anything but alien technology? All right, so
that joke fell flat. I liked it.
So what exactly do these do? Earlier today, Paul showed you our music beta service on a phone and on a tablet. Here, we have the same music service, but working with these new devices. So, Anand, let's turn up the volume on one of them.
Doing a good job of tying in the different announcements with each other
You can
here.
imagine that this device is playing music in, say, your living room. If we take a look at the tablet Anand is using, we can see that he's in the music app, but there's a new feature to select an output device. The tablet can direct music to one or more Tungsten boxes like the ones we have here. So, Anand, why don't you start music on both of them? So you can enjoy your music synchronized throughout your house, all streaming through Music Beta. So when Anand tapped on those buttons, the music stream was sent transparently from one box to the other. Since the boxes are running Android, they just pull the music directly from the music library in the cloud.
And they keep it in sync, which is pretty impressive.
All this functionality that you've seen here is part of the Android.
Google TV might survive.
There you go.
And it'll be completely open for developers to explore and write their own applications. To give you an example of the kinds of applications we have in mind, we've put together a very simple demo. This is actually another Tungsten. It looks very different from those, but it's another example of the device. So when we show you this example, I want you to keep in mind that this is just a conceptual example. It's not an actual product. Anand has some CDs here. Imagine that these CDs shipped with an NFC, or near field communication tag, inside the jewel case.
CDs?
Which activates when you take off the package.
What's that?
He's going to take one of the CDs, okay, run DMC, and he's going to touch it to this device. That chime means that it's been added to my library, the entire CD.
How? Where did it get the files?
if he touches it again, thank you. If
Oh,
he touches it
call
again,
the lawyers.
it starts playing. So it's pretty cool, right?
Oh, this is the music industry
We
is
could
going
add
to go.
another CD like Santana.
This is not an actual product. He did point that out.
I know, but they're going to go so crazy trying to prevent this.
Okay, well, that's it for this Android at Home preview. We hope that you can see how this combination of new cloud services, software, and devices enables a whole new universe of applications. You'll hear a lot more about Android at Home over the next few months.
Physical games, game devices.
Yeah. There's sort of unlimited number of
There
things
really
you can
is.
do with it. It's almost
Thanks, Joe. That was
too
really
complex at this point.
Now, I'll remind you
Be interesting
that
to see what people
there's
make
a
of
lot
it.
of applications today
To control any
doing
car.
crazy things, using location, gyroscope, insane GPU graphics that most of us wouldn't have thought possible even 2 years ago. So what we're doing here is creating new possibilities with Open Accessory and Android at Home with the expectation that your imagination as a developer is really going to make it flourish. So there's going to be a lot more details coming on these shortly, but we wanted to show you a quick preview, just a little taste for...
You're
where the
watching
Android team-
TWiT's Breaking Life coverage of Google I.O., brought to you by Slingbox. With Slingbox, you can watch your home TV on your iPad anywhere you go. Works with iPad, smartphones, iPod Touch, laptop. Get started with Slingbox. Connected to the internet, to your home TV. Anywhere you get an internet signal, you can watch your home TV. It's that easy. It's available at Best Buy and Amazon, or you can learn more at slingbox.com. Tom Merritt and Jeff Jarvis bringing you coverage right now of Google I.O.'s Android announcements.
Everywhere. We talked about media in the cloud with movie rentals and music, both launching today. We also talked about a new industry partnership to bring the latest Android innovation to users faster. And then we talked about more. We talked about Android Open Accessory, which you just saw, and our vision for Android at Home devices and applications. Was that almost too much for 51 minutes?
They actually packed it in pretty quick. Good job. They didn't string it out forever.
Now, there are some unbelievably cool Android devices coming out now and over the next few weeks and months with really interesting new form factors and awesome new features. In fact, an example is this device right here. This is the new Samsung 10.1 tab. It's a great new device with a dual-core processor. It's got a super sharp screen that's 720p video capable. It's got dual-band Wi-Fi support. It's really slick. It's thinner and lighter than you'd ever imagine. This device is going to launch in about a month or so, so it's not available to anyone yet, with one exception.
Gina, Eileen, and Leo, amongst everyone else in the crowd, are going to get one.
I hate them all.
Thank you. Thanks to Samsung, all 5,000 of you are getting one today.
Take that, Oprah.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
So, you'll be able to get your device over the next couple of days. There's no need to rush, including at the party tonight. This device comes with Honeycomb 3.0, and it'll get Honeycomb 3.1, which is rolling out today, over the next couple of weeks. We hope you enjoy this.
Well, that's interesting. Now, that Samsung device is going to get Honeycomb 3.1. Verizon's Zoom 3G is the only one that they affirmed in the rest of the talk would get it. So maybe
Now,
other
just
devices.
A couple of quick announcements. We've designed 22 sessions at Google I/O this year specifically focused on Android development topics with in-depth content prepared and delivered by Android engineers. So check those out. And to see what the latest schedule is, there have been a few minor changes. Download the Google I/O app, if you haven't already, for your tablet or for your phone. And I should also tell you that tomorrow at 10:45, we're going to be making some Android market announcements of some user and developer features, which I think you'll enjoy. So check that out as well. It will also be on Livecast. And lastly, let me just once again thank you, Android developers, for your phenomenal support. I look forward to talking to you, most of you or many of you, at the conference today and, of course, at the party tonight. So thank you, and have a great Google I/O.
So a very tight announcement, Jeff Jarvis, and a very packed announcement.
Yeah, it was. I think it really took off at the end. You know, and we didn't even see the beginnings of the creativity that can emerge if you can have a connected networked device. It's the network of things comes, and what all could that be? You know, and I think that's really exciting to imagine. You know, the obvious things are the things we've always thought about before: the network-controlled stove, refrigerator, that kind of stuff. I joked about the network-controlled vibrator. Now that's a game. You know, what else could come from the open accessory? I think that the bringing in hardware people is really interesting here, that they haven't had those before. The only hardware you got was, of course, the phones or Google's own hardware. Now that you can put this open hardware accessory out there for the world, and you bring in a whole different population of developers. I think that's key. It takes not just the computer science students now, but it now takes the computer engineering students and other kinds of designers, and to imagine what all can be controlled. And by the way, this maybe goes too far, but that's what I do. I think it ties in very neatly to the notion of the Google-controlled car. Now, it's absurd, of course, but you start to see where an OS-controlled world starts to take you. And what all could you control with it?
What can't, you know, I mean, this really leaps Android in front of iOS in possibilities, at least right now.
Well said, well said.
And what Google's going to be able to argue is the big advantage of iPhone and iPad has been the multimedia. I can get TV shows. It is the best music player in the iPod app that exists. But Google can now say, look, we have gone beyond that. Wherever you buy your music, you're going to store it with Google, and you can play it on your Android devices all over the place, as well as on your laptop. And it's a huge move to take Android and make it a cloud platform.
Right, so and that attacks Amazon where it's looking to live too, right? It's not just an Apple attack; it's an Amazon attack where Amazon thinks that they're going to be the repository for our stuff. Cue George Carlin, a place for your stuff. Now, Google's saying, no, we're your cloud.
Now, I thought it was interesting that the storage limit was listed in songs, not an amount of files. So, are they only allowing certain types of files? You're not going to be able to game this system and put your docs and your M4As
But you can do it now with Google Docs. You can now, I think now, you know, it's nice to actually see some threads of consistency come out of Google now, because Google announced 2 weeks ago that you can put any file up onto Google Docs and store it there.
Right. So you don't need to store it in the Google Music. That really is just for music.
So again, you know, where does this go? I think they might as well have announced that Chrome OS is dead.
And that's going to be interesting because tomorrow's going to be the Chrome announcement, is it not?
Yeah, I don't get it how they're differentiating. We'll see, but you know, if Android is your tie to the cloud, I mean, so is a browser, of course, you're tied to a cloud. But at some point soon, what's a browser? You know, and that's the danger we have here. But
I think what Google may be saying is the browser is your operating system for your laptop. Yes. With Chrome OS. Chrome OS is obviously going to tie into all of these things that are web based. But interestingly, Google Music needs you to download a program. They didn't make it clear whether you can access the Google Music upload system from your browser, which would lock out Chrome OS.
Well, I wonder if that's part of the legal stuff that's going to go on here is going to be amazing, because you take any file and Google's going to say, we're just managing it, man. We're just storing it. You know, it's their file, not our fault, not my job. But the music industry is going to go absolutely, how should I say this for TWiT, bat turds over this. Because you look at what happened with cable companies and shows, is that only recently did Cablevision get the first pilot, finally, of cloud-stored entertainment where you could sync across devices. Because it was a copyright issue, literally, that you had the right to, you know, have one copy of this, and if it was stored at Cablevision, that was another copy. Right? Absolutely absurd, old view.
Well, I think the recording industry has shot themselves in the foot by making negotiations so hard with Amazon and Google and Apple, by all accounts, that Amazon first and now Google have said, fine, you know what? We're just going to go ahead and, we're not Michael Robertson where you're going to figure out a way to crush us by suing us. You can't stop us from doing this. We have the legal firepower to fight back. And Amazon has the leverage to fight back as being the alternative music system. Recording industry really just lost a huge battle here.
Yeah, not only that, I think that Google may well say that they don't want a store.
Yeah. And I think that would be smart for Google to say, we're not in the business of making money off music. And maybe they've learned a little bit about this by trying to do a bookstore and say, you know what, we want to be the place where you store your stuff. We don't care where you get it.
Right, and the value they get out of that. I teach entrepreneurial journalism here at CUNY, and one of my students, his business is a very good one that's going to deal with music content for you. He's still in stealth. But what becomes apparent at some point is the value to Google. There are correlations between the kind of music you like and the kind of other things you like, and the movies you like, and the books you like.
Oh, yeah, and it's all about information,
has been that the big fight between at least Google and Apple, and also Amazon and also others and Facebook certainly, Facebook is over being the best signal generator. The more ways that these companies get us to generate signals, where we are, who we are, what we do, what we like, who our friends are, what they like, where we've been, where we're going, all that stuff enables them to target very efficiently and with great value content, services, and advertising to us. So at some point, the value of knowing what you play in terms of music may be greater than any amount you could get by selling the song.
I think they also beat Amazon today by saying 20,000 songs in your library. I just looked. I've got 5,000 songs in my library. That's 25 gigabytes. So Amazon gives me 5 gigabytes or 20 gigabytes if I buy an album temporarily for a year before they start charging me. 20,000 songs, much, much bigger than what Amazon is offering. If I choose right now, even though it's nice to be able to buy something from Amazon and have it stored automatically, I know that I'm not going to exceed my storage amount with Google anytime soon. Even if they start charging me for it after the beta is out, I'm comfortable there.
It's in their interests. I guess it's expensive if you leave stuff up that you never play, but you're not really. They're not copy. Here's the other thing, Tom. You're not. All you need is one copy of any song,
right?
So the storage cost of this is nil.
Well, I wonder if they're doing that. Now that was a speculation with Amazon too, is whether they're deduping.
They have
based on files, because that becomes a legal issue as well. Michael Robertson plays that trail as well.
Right, and that's the reason that you can't do this with movies and shows, because the DRM is heavier. But so fine, you're in a DRM-free world. At some point, how do you audit that? How do you say, do you really have 2 million copies of ABBA?
You must have, and that has been where Cablevision and these kind of decisions have lied, is that there is a physical separation between these systems, and they aren't just caching a show for everybody. So there could be some trouble there, but I don't think it's in the music industry's best interest at this point to push that any farther. I think they realize they're in a losing battle, and at least I hope they do.
Yeah, well, when have you seen the music industry operate in its best strategic interests?
Actually, and I made that point on Tech News Today yesterday. It's if there is a logically inconsistent point of view, the music industry will generally take it.
Yeah. And it's not the only one. Every single disrupted industry is like this. I work in the newspaper industry.
It's actually difficult not to be like that.
Yeah, well, it is, and that's why the disruptors are going to make it. The problem is that they control. But if you look at the number, my student with the music project, the number of bands there are out there that are not with music labels. And if you look at in the video world, what YouTube is doing in now investing in new entertainment, not because they want to own it, because they want there to be independent entertainment. It's valuable for them.
And that's
that exists.
One thing we're not talking about much here is the movie rentals section of this.
Right.
I don't think that is as compelling as the music offering.
No, it's absolutely not. It's part of the whole thing. I mean, the fact that you can watch the same movie anywhere, fine, that's logical necessity. But they just simply don't have the same freedom to do what they do with the music. The music, we actually have the copies.
Yeah, and I can't take movies or television shows that I've stored. Like, I like to have copies of Firefly on every device I own, so that I can, if I'm on a plane and I'm bored, I always have something that entertains me. And maybe that's an unusual use case, but that's not something I can do with this. That's something I can do elsewhere, maybe, but not with this.
But imagine this. When I was at the DLD conference run by Burda in Munich in January, we held a session with Lufthansa on the social airline. And Scoble was there, other people were there, and we brainstormed about it. And the group said, when I sit down on my airline seat, why don't you sync all my music and movies up from what I already have? And let me watch my stuff on your screen. Well, now you tie all this together, the cloud with the Android app with connectivity. And why do I have to own a screen necessarily all the time? At some point,
American Airlines is toying around with some limited version of exactly that.
Yeah. So now you start to tie these pieces together, and I can get my docs, my photos, my movies, TV shows, music, whatever, wherever I go. Also, I sit down in a rental car. Why do I have to own a car, right? I sit down in the zip car, and I put my phone down, and it says, "Oh, hi, Jeff. Here's your music."
Also, I think we're overlooking the open hardware access of this. I mean,
that's exactly my point. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They've done a huge thing here in Android Open Accessory as well as the Android at Home framework. So Android Open Accessory based on Arduino and the Open Accessory reference design means that people can make any accessory they want for Android without approval necessary, without a fee.
An NDA,
and no NDA. I mean, this
explodes Android. This is their dream.
And this is the opposite of what Apple does, which says you can't make an accessory for Apple unless you get approval and pay a fee.
Here is the strategic fork in the road. This is dramatic, I think, in where that goes. And so if I were a car manufacturer today, of course they have no brains there, but I'd be calling everybody in saying, you start building this. Why wouldn't any, home entertainment device be built around this? Games, new physical games be built around it. But it's not just at home. I think they're eliminating calling it at home. If I were an airline, I'd say if I have, 60% of my passengers have Android devices, what's the value to the airline? The airline gets to know now, too, more about you. Signal generation. That's valuable. Now, there's going to be, privacy stuff, obviously, here. You're going to have to agree to what you're doing. They're going to be stupid if they don't make it absolutely apparent at every move when you're sharing something with someone. If you ever get freaked out or surprised, that's going to be deadly. But if you have benefit, if I'm Scoble sitting on the airline seat saying, yeah, I want to listen to my music, here's who I am, that's kind of a beautiful thing for everybody.
Now, the other side of this, though, is the fragmentation of Android means one accessory may not work for your device, even though you have Android. They took a few steps to address fragmentation. They're creating new guidelines for Android updates, working with the Open Handset Alliance. We'll see how well those work. They want to promise that new devices will get updates for 18 months after launch, if the hardware allows. But that's a big, wide loophole. You can drive a truck through that if the hardware allows. And then at the same time that they're trying to make these kind of efforts, they say Android 3.1 is coming, but only to Verizon Zoom 3G customers today. And then they mentioned that the Samsung 10.1 tablet that's not out, but everybody at Google I/O is getting for free, will get it in the next couple of weeks. So we have more examples of that fragmentation right out of the gate.
Yeah, so thank you, Tom, for pulling me back from the taking the helium out of me. Exactly. I mean, here I am, a guy who said Buzz is a big deal. Well, actually, I didn't say that. I said Wave is a big deal. Sorry, Gina. And Google TV last year and so on. So the big question now comes: what does it need for Google to execute on this promise? And just throwing something out there in the world isn't going to be enough. Right? Same with YouTube and making more shows. They've got to invest in things, not own them, not control them. They can't get into channel conflict. But I think that, if here's the question. When the iPhone came out, Kleiner Perkins, as I remember, started a huge investment fund for development, right? I wonder whether VCs would see an advantage in starting open Android hardware and accessory development. Hardware is not a great business, but it's a gateway to so much power and so much knowledge. And so I think that the big question is that Google doesn't execute in and of itself by making the devices, but Google better find the ways to incubate this world, invest in it, support it, listen to it, or else it's going to flop like Google TV and Wave.
Yeah, we'll see how successful they are at fighting that fragmentation, because that is key to making all of that open hardware dream that we're talking about come true. Still, Android 3.1 looks cool. They've got some head tracking software that was nifty, that could do facial recognition and tell who's talking. And they're talking about
put that on your TV. Tom, hold on a second, right? So
yeah.
Be crazy. Is that become Connect on every TV?
Well, and
if you put a camera on it,
if we tie this all back together, Android 3.1 now one OS for everything: tablet, Google TV, phone, whatever. Android 3.1 coming to Google TV this summer, including the Android Marketplace. Now you have a virtual camera operator, head tracking software available for a Google TV device that can bring you all of the Android Marketplace apps that'll run on that device. I think you're right. I think you've got possibilities there for sure.
Yeah, for both games like Connect, but also for new UIs. Right now, we get the problem is how do you browse? Right, if you want to sit on your couch and start going like that, as if you're moving pages, you point at this and move it there.
Okay.
Right? Those kinds of things. If you get that kind of recognition, you say, no, I want that there. It was a great old MIT Media Lab thing I saw years ago where it was a big deal to get the computer to understand what it meant to say, I want that there.
Android 3.1 can act as a USB host.
Right,
Connect
help me out there.
Connect is a USB device.
Oh.
Android 3.1 with a Connect hack, all of a sudden you're there. You just plug it in and start doing stuff with it.
Okay, so I'm this is where I get out of my depth. How does the Android USB connection tie into Open Accessory? Is it the same thing as a necessity, one or the other? How does that work?
Well, yeah, you can make your Open Accessories USB and then turn them into game controllers or whatever you want. But I'm thinking you don't even have to build a replacement for Connect. There's so many hacks that can interpret the signals in USB coming out of the Connect for a PC. Why wouldn't it work for Android?
Oh, a little trouble up north today.
Well, actually, trouble down the street. As Steve Ballmer was right there making the announcement that they're purchasing Skype for $8.5 billion.
Oof.
I wanted to get your opinion on that, actually.
I said on Twitter this morning that Skype is the Christmas fruitcake.
I mentioned that earlier, actually. I thought that was perfectly apt.
Who's the idiot at eBay? What was it sold for?
I've got that number here. Hold on, give me a second. Skype bought by eBay for $2.5 billion. And Silver Lake bought 65% of Skype in 2009 for $2 billion.
Yeah. Jesus. Well, at the same time, it's part of this all. Part of what we looked at is I think we have to include Cisco in this discussion now. And Cisco is flailing. Cisco was the place to be conferences. The flip camera the next product was going to be one that would go live. And of course now Flip is dead.
And Cisco is saying, we're going to focus on enterprise. We're going to focus on serious business stuff.
But you see, what's an enterprise, right? It becomes absurd now to separate those two at some extent, except for old computer departments who say, I want to control this. I won't support that, right? At some point, so that's the maybe dream, I guess, of the BlackBerry tablet. But at some point, it's ludicrous. We'll all have our own devices. They'll all interoperate.
We've got three takes on video conferencing here. You've got Cisco retrenching and saying, we're going to be the big enterprise that comes in and sets up the entire system. You've got Microsoft betting on Skype, saying, we're going to try to be more agile. We're going to take Skype and put it in the enterprise. And then you've got Google saying, we got head tracking software built into Android 3.1. Build it yourself. Do whatever you want with it.
Exactly. That's really well said. Really well said. Now, what's left out of this? Facebook, That's where people actually talk. And, a video talking version of Facebook, it's out of the mode of what they do.
Although Facebook and Skype have allegedly been having lots of conversations behind the scenes.
Right. So you get to the penisless chat roulette. It starts to happen there because it's people you actually know. So if you take that idea of who's here now for me to chat with among my friends, which Google has been trying to do and hasn't really gotten anywhere, Skype doesn't think of that. Facebook's going to look at this in a different way.
And Microsoft and Facebook are chummy?
Very much so.
So I think you see an immediate partnership between Microsoft and Facebook over Skype.
That's a really good point. Yeah. Right. But once again, poke the pin in my helium. You're quite right to do that, Tom. These are all possibilities. These are all opportunities. But whether they happen, who knows? Well, that's what's so damn fun about this is you can imagine new opportunities and new horizons for what can happen. And you break out finally of the idea of a computer. You break out finally of the tyranny of location.
Yeah.
That's why, by the way, the devil's deal that Google did with Verizon is 10 times more upsetting today. Because you go to what I call the internet or the schminternet. Right? The internet is the wired internet that'll have net neutrality. The schminternet, which is not a joke on Eric Schmidt, it's the Yiddish thing, folks. You take your exact same tablet, right? And I watch that movie inside my house, connected to my wired network, and then I walk out on my deck and I switch to the cable, to the cell connection. The same device, the same movie, the same user will operate under entirely different rules. And so the idea of mobile versus fixed is absurd. Mobile means nothing. Fixed means nothing. Wired means nothing. You connect through the wire to the wireless, and so it's all the friggin' internet, folks.
It's device based. It's what device suits the use I want to make of it right then.
Yes, it's partly that. You're right there, but it's also potentially user based, right? Because I can walk out and go to a connected device, or I can carry my phone, and it's gonna start operating lawnmower.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it's gonna operate something else. I can go into different cars, and I don't need to have something installed in that car because I have my phone with me. Or at some point, I just have a SIM with me.
Do you think that this is an example of Larry Page's influence already? Because this Google I/O was jam-packed. It was tight. It was full of major announcements. I remember the Google I/O announcements from last year were not nearly as overwhelming, not nearly as forward-thinking. Or is this just the natural outgrowth of Android, which had to start small and now is finally building its big momentum? Well, of course, the true answer is we have no idea. Yeah. And no way to know. But why won't start from speculating? It never stops me. I was tempted to see that because as I said earlier, the fact that you could put documents up on docs, files up on docs 2 weeks ago, and is a continuum from that to this. I see a strategic thread, which I haven't seen from Google in a while. What you see was a whole bunch of separate parties going on. And I think that's good. I think that's great. But again, it will come down to execution. It'll come down to whether they'll recognize where the support's needed and be able to do that. It'll come down to the quality. I ate my crow on Twig. I finally got an iPad because I have to. It's wrong that I didn't have one. And I compare it to my Android, and I carry them both right now, which is really absurd. I have this ridiculous Big Mac, technology Big Mac, with my laptop, my Mac laptop, my iPad, my Galaxy Tab, and my iPhone, and I'm carrying all four, which is just beyond absurd. But anyway, Android is a lot clunkier, right? It is not as smooth. It is less controlled, but it is also clunkier. And is Android ready for prime time when it comes to handling really simple devices? Is it ready to be as simple as turning on a light switch? We'll see. Yeah. And I just installed the Sonos system demo unit that was sent to Eileen to evaluate the Android app
I was
to
going to say,
control
Leo
Sonos.
gave you a big bonus.
No. We didn't buy it. We're just using it temporarily. It's a demo, review unit. But really impressive how easy it works, and you can control it from an Android device, control it from an iOS device. But Android just, said, well, you don't have to use Sonos. And that price can now come down because people can start creating these open hardware devices that control any speaker.
Right.
And you just buy a little, maybe $20 device, hook it up to whatever speaker you want. Boom, you've got your own Sonos system. Question is, will it work as seamlessly? What was impressive about Sonos is I pressed the button, it recognized it over the network. You know how often that doesn't happen over networks because something doesn't, you talk about network printing earlier, something doesn't usually recognize something else. So it will have to work as good as that. It will have to be easy. And that's the advantage Apple has. Apple says, when you buy our stuff, 95% of the time, it's going to work. There's it's not perfect, but you know it's going to play well with each other as long as you stay within our universe. What Android's advantage is you don't have to stay in any universe. It may not work as often, but it's going to work often enough.
Well,
it's the classic Microsoft Apple battle now with Google playing the part of Microsoft.
So Tom, let me ask you, is that why Google then felt the need to have a formal open accessory blessed accessory program
so that they could bust? I think it's the exact right thing to do, which is we're not going to compete with Apple in closed. We're going to compete with Apple in open. We're going to compete with Apple by saying we're going to throw as many things against the wall as possible and see what sticks. And those things that stick will be things that could never have been thought of in a closed environment.
I just realized I have to hand in the final copy edited version of my book, Public Parts, coming out in September, and I realize I've got to update the section on this now because you're right. It is about openness as a strategy.
Yeah.
As the underpinning, the foundation, pick your metaphor, of a business strategy. And it becomes interesting if you did a big chart about the world of the Apple way versus the Google way now, or the advantages and disadvantages of both, it becomes very distinctly different.
Yeah. Google has a very coherent strategy in my mind after today, other than Chrome OS. I think that's the big question mark. But I know exactly where Android is going after this.
Right. Well, the other thing we didn't get today at all, not that you'd get it at I.O., but the constant guessing about what the hell will come in under the social banner. Is there such a thing as social? And I keep thinking there's not going to be. I keep thinking that social isn't really social. It's signals. It's knowing more about you and serving you better. But they're not tying people together. They're now tying us to more devices and more information, but individually. Nothing out of Google ties people together.
Google knows that it shouldn't try to do everything, or at least it used to. And it makes the mistake every once in a while of trying to do something that it shouldn't. And I think maybe with this music store is evidence, whether it's conscious or not, that they shouldn't be the one selling the music. They should be the one organizing it, because organizing the world's information is their main mission. And they make their money off of having that data. And maybe that's a better way to go. I don't know if that's intentional or not, or just because they couldn't strike the deals.
I just think they don't kind of get that part of life. It's somebody. The irony is that Zuckerberg does, because as somebody who knows him said to me once, he's antisocial. But I try to think of a way that Google connects us to people. Right, the phone will know where I am. It'll know what I've checked into. It'll know soon what I've purchased, because I can wave it and purchase something, or bump it rather. It'll know where I'm going, where my direction is. It'll know all kinds of things about me, but it knows very little about me as a person. Or put it another way, that's the wrong way to put it. It knows nothing about my human ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
It knows nothing about my relationships. Now, the question then becomes, how valuable is that really? Is it more valuable to know what music I play or who my friends are?
Well, I think what Google would be wise to do is make up with Facebook and say, look, we can't compete with you. What we want is to integrate you the way we're integrating other services like Twitter and now like every music service in the world, if people store their music with Google Music, and say, look, you know what? We just want to feed off your data and send more users to you. And that's how Google can know your social graph, by using Facebook, by using other social networks, rather than trying to invent it themselves.
Tom wants a group hug. Yeah, I don't disagree strategically, but I think the odds of that happening,
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen
they're
either.
in nature competitive. And so what it means is that Google is always missing that relationship piece. Now, look at Facebook. Facebook is losing on life utility pieces. The most it knows about me is who I am, and a lot about that, what my relationships are, and that's very valuable. And now where I'm going if I check in with places. It knows what I say through comments, right? It's like Google and Facebook are kind of left brain, right brain, or there's some metaphor dying to come out of me that I can't figure out here. But what is Facebook missing versus what is Google missing? What is the asset of data that's in the long run more valuable? I don't know.
I'll tell you what Facebook is. It's not open.
Yeah.
And if Google just learned to fight the accessory battle by being open, maybe that should be Google's social strategy, is to get behind an open social network that people have been crying for, saying, I love what Facebook does, but it's all tied up in one company. I want it to be an open platform that anybody can use.
Tom, I've long said, and been proven wrong 100 times, but I've long said that we don't need a social network because the internet is the social network. And Google's ethos would have it organize us based on how we're already operating on the internet. Now, they haven't done that. And maybe that's because I'm just plain wrong. It's happened. But, yeah, I don't know that Google needs to start a social network so much as it needs to figure out how to connect us. And until it does that, Facebook wins that territory.
Maybe Google just needs to make an open framework.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what they need to do.
I'm with you there.
Is how do we do that? So you look down the list here. We're talking about Facebook. Go to Apple. They potentially blow open the connected devices world in a way that Apple can never do it because what are we going to do? Going to go buy the refrigerator from Apple? Apple home appliances? It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Apple's not going to do interfaces to devices it doesn't like and control. So that's a huge thing. Amazon, to me, is a really interesting one today because Amazon has not been smart, I don't think, about one thing, which is that they haven't realized they've been a content company. But they've been brilliant about recognizing the value of the cloud. And now Google attacks them front on in clouded media. Ooh, I like that.
Cloudy or clouded?
Clouded sounds a little more geeky.
I think you're right.
Right?
The glaucoma of media.
So who else is affected by these announcements today? Twitter, not at all. Foursquare,
not so much. No, your social networking companies didn't really feel anything out of this.
They didn't feel anything today.
No,
Microsoft and Cisco, big time. Chat room. Anybody else? I think that's kind of. Well, a couple of parts of Microsoft, also the Kinect, and the game world was potentially affected today. Again, if anybody does anything. So what it amounts to, too, is I think it gets to a point where, well, try this out, Tom. Do I have to be an Android phone or tablet owner to be an Android user with open accessories, open devices, and all that? Right?
Yeah.
You said before it was device dependent.
Right.
So I think you're right, but that's a weakness in the long run.
Yeah. I can't make a MIMO Android accessory. I've got to be in the Android ecosystem at some point. Although a lot of this stuff is web based.
You're right there.
So there is an opening. I was looking at this and noticing how many of these things I can use without an Android device by going and using the web version of it. I can use the Google Music, even though this was Android Day. I can go use music.google.com right now, and I can conceivably manage things from my iPad. Although I don't know if I can play them. It would be crazy if Google came out with a Google Music iOS app, but I think it would be smart. Because it would pull people into that ecosystem, and eventually their next phone they might get Android because they're like, oh, well, all my music's there anyway.
Yeah, I almost thought they should have shown today taking all of your Apple Music and having it managed by Google.
Yeah,
you could, right?
There's no reason you couldn't.
The DRM's off, right? So you could do that.
It doesn't matter. And I think that's the brilliance of that. Jeff, it has been great. It's huge news day. Microsoft acquiring Skype, all of the Google Music and Android announcements. Also, the Senate hearing on mobile privacy has been going on this morning as well. So I can't wait to digest this all later on Tech News Today. And, of course, tomorrow you and Gina and Leo will be digesting not only this, but tomorrow's Google I.O. keynote on This Week in Google.
And is Leo still going to be up there, down there?
I think Leo will be back in the studio tomorrow. He'll be hosting Twig, and we'll be digesting everything from there. Great talking to you as always.
Great, it was great fun, Tom, and thanks for the pinholes. I needed that.
Oh no problem. That's what I'm good at. You anyone put up an argument, and I'll try and knock it down.
That's good. That's what we're here for. That's why the discussion's fun.
Of course, buzzmachine.com, where you can find Jeff Jarvis. Anything else you're working on right now?
No, I'm still furiously copy editing the book, so it's not out till September.
All right. Thanks to Slingbox for helping to bring us breaking news. You can watch your TV anywhere you go. You got an internet connection, you can watch your home television. No subscription model. You just buy a Slingbox, plug it into your television at home, plug it into your internet, and then you can watch it on your iPad or your iPod Touch or your laptop. Talk about being able to take your television with you anywhere. Slingbox is available at Best Buy and Amazon. You can learn more at slingbox.com. Thanks to everybody for watching. That's it for our special coverage of the Google I.O. Android announcement on TWiT. We'll see you next time.